Hey guys, Everlasting Apex here. It has been a while, but it is here. ApexRivals 2.0 is coming out on Patreon as this video goes live. And I know it's been a long time, but it was worth it because there's a lot of new stuff to talk about. Now, let's not waste any time and get right into it. We're going to start with the boring stuff, and we're going to get to the more interesting stuff towards the end of the video. First of all, the app now looks like it was made in the 21st century. Additionally, the custom rivals that you have will now have settings for the downforce that was added by Ryza not too long ago. Don't worry, all of your current rivals are fully compatible. They are just going to get a random value. Now, the distribution for this is mostly a bell curve distribution. The majority of drivers are going to get reasonable values, and only a few are going to get truly extreme values. Now, about the career itself. Don't worry, your current career is fully compatible with this new version. However, keep in mind this is a beta. I do recommend taking a backup of your current profiles. Now let's look at the actual career dashboard. Now at the top you have the next race in line, and you have a preview of the track in the background. I am releasing a new asset pack with higher resolutions for this to work. So the new asset pack, I recommend just deleting the old ones and replacing them entirely. These will look much better. Now, as usual, you have the driver database. Pretty much the same as before. However, they are now ranked by ELO, and you can select the tier of drivers that you want to look at. And just like before, if you click on them, you can see their entire profile, along with the full driving history of every championship they have done. And yes, this is fully compatible with your current career. All of this stuff was saved. It just wasn't visible, but everything of this was saved, so your current profile will show everything. Your entire racing history is there. And right next to the driver database, you have championships, which are now a thing. You can see all the championships that are active. And if you click on them, you see the points and the stats, the race wins, the podiums for the current active season. Now let's take a look at the next new feature. If you look at this button here, it says skip to driver draft. Not promotions, driver draft. That's because the way you are promoted has changed. Don't worry, it's a good change. Let's take a look. Now, in the past, the driver promotions were very simple. The drivers were sorted by ELO, and the teams just started recruiting drivers from the top. The way this new draft method works is that every team in the game is a fully interactive being, and the whole thing works as a market for drivers. Teams have the objective of hiring the best driver they can. And drivers obviously have the objective of going up the ranks. This means that most likely teams will try to hire the most highly rated drivers available. However, some teams may decide to try to snipe an underdog. A driver that they see is going up the ranks very quickly and that they think would be a good driver. They might try to send an offer directly there. And the result from that is that now you can get offers from every single tier at the same time. Now, in this example, I am a very, very, very highly rated driver, so obviously I got a lot of offers from many different teams. However, if you are a newer driver with a lower rating, you might only get one offer. Overall, this method of doing the draft should feel as natural and realistic as it can possibly get. Now, let's talk about what does this mean for you. When a new month is about to start, you're going to get offers from many different championships, many different teams, and maybe you're not going to find any team that you like. Maybe I don't want to do F1, I don't want to do IndyCar, I like GT1, but I would like to drive a Porsche, and I'm not getting any Porsche offer here. Now you can look at the seats filled right here, and you can see the names and the cars that have already been signed. And right now I can see that only 3 seats have been filled. That means that I am the 4th person to get an offer out of 31 people. And if you look at the Tier 1, only 8 people have been signed so far on Tier 1. That means that I'm one of the very first people to get an offer. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that if I refuse these offers, there's a lot more teams that could invite me. And you can use this as a gamble. I think I could get a Porsche offer here, so I'm actually going to decline these offers, and we'll see if the gamble pays off. Now, the app will save your actions, so you cannot save scum this. Now, let's see. Okay, now 79 people have been signed up, so a lot more offers have went out. About half the seats have been filled up. And I got an offer from NASCAR, more IndyCar, V8 supercars, and no GT1. Okay, so my gamble did not pay off. I could decline one more time to try to get another offer, but this is becoming risky. The leagues are now halfway filled. But you know what? For the sake of the demo, I'm actually going to try. I'm going to decline one more time. Again, it's going to save. Can't save scum this. And by the way, you can close the app and reopen the app in the draft, and it will save where you are. Okay, so now the league is almost full. 111 drivers out of 145. Now I need to sign. I need to accept something. So IndyCar offer, Group C offer, no GT1. So I probably missed out on GT1. So I think I'm just going to go with the Group C for this one. 18 out of 29 drivers signed. You can see it's multiclassing with the Group A class. You can see here multiclass. This is a lead class. You can see the tracks where we're going to be racing. And you can also see the average ELO. So right now I'm a very, very, very highly rated driver. Pretty much every league is below my rating. So we're just going to take the Corvette GTP. And oh, look at that. What is this? Another draft. 2.4 hours of Daytona. That's right. Special events are back. Now, if you've played the original version of the app, which was the procedural career, the way the draft worked for driving for special events was not so great. Basically, if a team wanted you to drive for them, they would kidnap you, throw you in the car, and you had to drive the event. Period. Now, it works in a very, very similar way to the regular draft. You can refuse the offers. You don't have to drive for the special event. However, you do get offers. So right now I got one offer from the Group A and one offer from the Group C. Again, I could refuse and try to get more offers. However, 20 people of 36 have signed for the Group C, and 13 out of 30 have signed for Group A. There's probably not a lot of seats left. Now keep in mind, this number here, 36 and 30, you cannot have 66 drivers. Those are the teams. Now I'm guessing Daytona probably has a 48 car grid, so 33 drivers have been signed. There's not a lot of room left. I should probably sign this. I don't think I can gamble and see if I can get another seat. I'm just going to go with the Porsche. And here we are back at the menu. And now you can see your scheduled race. You can see both races from my championship, and you can see the 2.4 hours of Daytona to which I have been signed. And if you scroll down, you can see, as usual, the #1 driver in the world and all of the calendar for the entire month. And if you'll notice, there's now a skip here button to every race. You can decide, okay, you know what? I really want to watch the Formula 3 at Daytona. You can just skip here, hold this, and here you are. Now you can spectate this race. Now, there are some interesting mechanics that I have not talked about yet, and let's just go over them real quick. If you go into championships and look at the championship that I'm driving, you're going to notice Group C has 20 drivers and Group A has only 8. Before this update, both classes always tried to have the same number of drivers. Not anymore. Now the way it works is that the teams need to draft the drivers. And not all teams are going to be as successful. Some teams will try to get a very successful driver who is then going to accept another offer, and they're going to be left without a driver. That means that the classes are not going to always have the same number now. You can have very lopsided driver count. The minimum driver that you set in the career menu still works, but it is not absolutely foolproof. Like this one has only 6 drivers signed up, even though I set the minimum driver to 8. That's because some teams just couldn't find a driver. This can happen. It's not a bug, it's just the way the draft now works. For the special events, when I started creating the special events, I started by creating the 24 hours of Spa. And I was wondering, I really like the 2005 GT1 cars that came out just a few months ago. Should I create the 2022 Spa 24 hours or should I create the 2005 Spa 24 hours? And then I had the idea, why not create variants? So now when you create a special event, you can actually create multiple variants of it. I'm going to give a full tutorial soon on how to create your own special events with all the variants. But right now in this app, I am releasing a preview of the 2.4 hours of Spa. And with it are variants for 2022 version with GT3 Gen 2, the 2020 version with the regular GT3s, the 2005 variant with the GT1, GTR, and GT2, and even a 1970s version with the GT Classics and the Tourings. Now, I believe this covers everything about the career mode. However, if you look at the video time right now, you are probably noticing that there's quite a bit of time left. That's because there's one more feature that I'm really excited about. And this feature is the reason why this update took so long to come out. But before we get into it, I would like to play you a quote from Jeremy Clarkson.
Because it's a racing driver, and racing drivers have tiny little brains, and therefore worth...
That's right. Drivers have tiny little brains. Which is why it confuses me that somehow I'm expected to not only drive the car, but look at telemetry while I'm driving, analyze the data, come up with a tuning setup, and create a full race strategy. Now you might say, well, Apex, there's apps out there that give you all sorts of information on how the car is behaving. Yes, correct. However, those apps always end up just giving you a bunch of graphs. Just endless graphs with all sorts of data. Let me remind you, race drivers have tiny little brains. I do not want graphs. I just want someone to tell me what to do. Which is why I created this tool. Now, let's take a look. Let's open the race weekend here. And you're going to notice up here a tab called Pit Engineer. Now, I don't know if I like the name Pit Engineer. I think something like CrewChief would have been a better name. However, there's already an app called CrewChief, and I don't want to step on any toes because I really like CrewChief. Big respect, big love to CrewChief. You guys let me know if you can think of something better than Pit Engineer. It's not very catchy. Now let's take a look. Well, that doesn't show much, does it? That's because we need to be in a race. And here we are. Now, what I've done is I've set out to create a Pit Engineer that would give you complete directions on how to build not only a setup, but a complete race strategy with no interaction from you at all other than driving. You just drive the car and it tells you what to do. Now, when you open the session, it's going to ask you just a quick setup, how long the race is going to be for. So let's say 1 hour. And it's going to ask you to disable symmetric setup. So let's just do this. Go in settings, advanced setup. And we're going to disable symmetrical setup. And there we go. Now this is what the main dashboard looks like. Let's take a look around. First of all, on top left, you have the audio and utilities. This is mostly if you want to disable the spotter and engineer voice. The volume, if you want to do an audio test. Now, I just want to be clear. Right now, at this moment, I'm using the basic Windows TTS. Probably during the beta, I'm going to release a proper voice pack. It's coming. It just needs to cook a little longer. Okay, for now, it's just basic Windows TTS. Please don't mind this. Okay,
audio test.
It's terrible, I know. Give me some time, okay? It's coming. And here you have a button to export logs. If you have any issues, if you think something went wrong, export the logs, send it to me on Discord, I'll have a look. Now, here you would have the car image if you pick the right car, which I did not. But let's just ignore this for now. Here you have the strategy that it wants you to take, right? So it doesn't ask you any questions. It doesn't ask you to use your judgment or anything like this. It just says, no, look, put on the slicks, go out with 120 liters of fuel, And this is the red line. The reason I put the red line here is because for some reason, a lot of AMS2 cars make it really hard to figure out where the red line is. So I just decided to put it in here in clear text so that you can know. And here it just gives you a quick recap of what the current objective, why it's sending you out. So you might be wondering, oh, 120 liters, that's a lot of fuel. Why is it sending me out with a full tank? Well, it's because it's going to be calculating how much time you lose with a full tank. This run is going to be with a full tank. The next run is going to be with less fuel, and then it's going to look at the time difference between the two sessions, and it's going to calculate from there how much time is actually affecting your lap times. Next window, the setup status. Here you have all the different aspects of the setup that it's working on. And the status. Right now they're all red because we haven't actually tested anything. As you do more runs, this is going to start lighting up in different colors. Red is bad, yellow's not too bad, green is good, blue is basically solved. Down here you just have basic information on the current session. And here you have where the engineer recommendations are going to show up. We'll get back to this in just a moment. Below that you have the current tire information that the engineer has gathered. You don't need to worry about this, it's just nice to show the information. Down here you have the race length that you set earlier if you want to change it because you entered the wrong one or something. And now you might be wondering, wait, hold on, what kind of advice can it actually give? Like, you're probably skeptical, right? And you're right to be skeptical. Being skeptical is good. Now let's just take a look, okay? This is the setup screen in AMS2, okay? The tires, brakes, and chassis, the suspension setup, the drivetrain setup. All right, there's a lot of stuff. So what can you expect it to give you advice on, right? You're probably thinking, well, okay, it's probably going to give like tire pressure, camber angle, maybe anti-roll bar and ride height, something like that. And, well, yes to all of those. But it's probably easier to just show you what it can do. So this is the entire setups that you can adjust in AMS2. And I'm just going to use this little red arrow to show you what it will give you advice on. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's probably easier to show you what advice it will not give you, right? Okay, so I'm going to use the red arrow to show you what it will not give you advice on, and I'm going to use this blue arrow to show you what it will not give you advice on yet, but it will be coming soon. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's zoom in a little and take a closer look. Automatic gears, it will not give you advice on this. Automatic gears is just how the car shifts up or down automatically. It has no bearing on performance whatsoever. It is just a personal preference. It will not give you advice on this. The other one that is coming soon is the fuel map. Now that is just to save on fuel if you want to save fuel during a run. But this is not really a setup adjustment. It's a mid-race adjustment. If you see that you might be running low on fuel, you just cut it down a bit. This will be coming soon, okay? Maybe during the beta I would like this. Maybe. It will support mid-race adjustments. Now you're probably still skeptical. And I understand. Now let me just make this clear right away. There is no AI involved in here. There's no internet access required. There's no driver survey to fill out. There's nothing like that. This is all math and physics, period. Well, let's do a demo. Now you're going to excuse me. It turns out that it's really difficult to record both the game and the app at the same time and not make it look ridiculously small. I'm sorry, please bear with me, okay? I'm doing the best I can here. Now, when you load in, once you've disabled the symmetrical setup, now, first of all, I recommend starting from a baseline that makes sense, okay? Default setups are a good starting point. If you have a custom setup that you want to start from, that works too. Just make sure it's not too weird. If the basic setup is too weird, it might just not be able to figure it out. Default setup is a good starting point. Now, when you load in, just look at the strategy, and it says go out with slicks and 120 liters of fuel. So just put that in and go for a drive. Now I am going to fast forward this part. I don't think you want to see me driving for 10 minutes.
Come back to the pits for adjustments. Hit confirmed.
And after a little while, it's going to call you back to the pits, telling you that adjustments are ready. Now, once you get that, just call for a pit stop, and then just return to the pits. And once you enter the garage, this is what's going to show up. Okay, so let's take a look one step at a time. On the top right, the setup status, colors have changed. So let's just go over this really quickly. The thermals and reliability, it has determined that the car was thermally good and doesn't need any adjustment on this, and your engine was reliable enough to do the entire race. For the pit strategy, now it has some information, but not all the information it needs, right? So it has information on the tire life for the slicks, it has information on how much fuel you're spending per lap. However, it doesn't have information on the wet tires yet, and it doesn't have information on how much time you lose with a lower fuel run. All the different aspects have a similar status that is going to update throughout the different runs. Now let's take a look at the engineer recommendations. Now I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look carefully, and if you zoom in a little, or maybe if you zoom out a little, you're going to notice there's not a single graph on that page. No graphs. No driver survey asking you how the car felt. No, it just gives you advice. That's it. You just drive and it tells you what to do. That's it. Now just go in the advanced setup and dial this stuff in. If you want additional information about one of the advice, you can hover on the little I button. Now I don't know why OBS didn't pick that up, but it shows you extra information right there. But ultimately, you are a race driver with a tiny little brain. Don't worry about this. Once you have applied the change, you can just click on the card to show that it has been done. This doesn't actually do anything. It's just as a reminder of where you are. You don't have to do this. If at some point it gives you a card to say lower the ride height, and it turns out that you are already at the minimum, you cannot go any lower, you just check the maxed out box, and it will know that you are at the bottom. And when you do mark something as maxed out, it will try to find an alternative to try to achieve the same result. So here I am marking the final drive as being maxed out, and it's going to fall back to trying to adjust the individual gears. Now, unfortunately on this car, the individual gears are not really adjustable, because if you try to shorten the second gear, it ends up being on the exact same gear ratio as the first gear, so you end up just losing a gear. If that happens, just mark it as maxed out / overlaps. And again, it will understand that you cannot go any further on this. It won't bother you again. If for some reason you load a car and it gives you an advice and the setting is grayed out, this shouldn't happen, but if it does, you can just mark it as unavailable and it will not bother you with this again for this car. And finally, at the bottom, you have the performance that has been updated. You see the best lap and the average lap that you're doing, and it's telling you tire wear is not expected to be a factor. So you don't need to worry about switching tires during the race. These tires should be good enough to go the whole distance. And now, if we look at the next run, it tells you go back out on slicks, and this time with 28 liters of fuel. And this time it's going to measure the difference in lap time between the fuel levels. And now we go out for a second run. And once again, just keep driving until it calls you back in, and just keep doing this throughout the practice. Now, to me, this makes practice much more interesting. This is what practice is for. Testing the car, figuring out what needs to be adjusted, and just trying to get the best setup you can in the limited time that you have. Now, let's just clear some things up right away. Who is this for? If you are someone who hunts leaderboard times and tries to get absolute perfect setups, this is not for you. If you are someone who enjoys looking at graphs and who does not have a tiny little brain, this is not for you. However, if you are someone who likes having the immersion of being part of a racing team where some people in the pits are actually doing their job, being engineers for your car, this is for you. If you want to have a setup adapted to your driving without breaking your head looking at graphs and trying to figure out all sorts of stuff while driving, this is for you. If you're someone who just wants to drive the goddamn car and not have to worry about anything, this is for you. Now, a lot of apps are going to give you pit strategies, right? They're going to give you a race strategies and you're going to pit at this lap, that lap, and add this amount of fuel and whatnot. However, every single one of these apps that I've seen so far, maybe I've missed one, but every single one that I've seen, if you have a catastrophic lockup at lap 10, and all of a sudden you need a new set of tires, your pit strategy goes out the window. Those apps will leave you stranded with a pit strategy that is now obsolete. Not mine. My app will adapt the pit strategy on the fly. If you have a lockup, if you take damage, if you're spending more fuel than expected or less fuel than expected, anything happens, my app will never leave you stranded. It is constantly watching all of your metrics and it is constantly adjusting. Now, when you switch over to qualifying, it is very similar. You look at the strategy, it will tell you to go out with a certain set of tires and a certain amount of fuel. However, the setup status has now been switched to car status, and it just gives you information on the reliability and temperatures for your car. I didn't need to show this. You don't need to know this. Everything is being monitored anyways. But it looks good, so I'm just showing it for fun. That's it. Now, just below, it will show you the final setup adjustments from the last practice stint that you did. And one of those cards is the boost pressure. Now, some cars, especially something like the 1980s Formula One cars, can run enormous amount of boost that will destroy your engine. This is super fun in qualifying, but not so great for the race. Now, during the practice, it adjusted everything about the reliability of your car. It gave you as much boost as you could possibly have to be able to last for the entire race with a certain safety margin. Now just type in the number at which you ended up in here, and then set your boost to maximum for the qualifying. It will use this number to remind you at the race to set the boost back to this amount. And at the bottom, you have the qualifying standings. Just a fun leaderboard to look at. You have all the pictures of the drivers, all the cars they're driving. And once again, just follow the instructions. Just turn your brain off and drive the goddamn car. And at some point during your qualifying run, it might tell you, come back to the pits, and it will tell you exactly what to do. It will tell you what compound of tires to switch to, how much fuel to add, any repairs if necessary.
Come back to the pits and add 17 liters of fuel. I repeat, add 17 liters of fuel. Hit
also,
confirm.
I don't know about you guys, but I always forget when I need to pit in, so I had it give a reminder when you approach the pit lane.
Remember to come into the pits and add 17 liters of fuel. I repeat, add 17 liters of fuel.
And when you get the call, just dial in whatever it told you to do and just head towards the pits. And once the qualifying is done, just switch over to the race. And by now, I think you know the drill. It's going to give you the card for the boost pressure. It's going to tell you to set it back to whatever value you figured out during the practice. And in the strategy, it will show you what compound of tire, how much fuel to start on, and how many pit stops you are expected to have. However, as you read just below it, the pit strategy is subject to change. It will adapt on the fly to whatever happens. So just go out and drive, turn your brain off, let it handle everything for you. Now, if you want the best results out of this, driving consistently is more important than driving quickly. Consistency is the most important thing. If your driving is all over the place, it might not be able to figure things out correctly. Now, currently, this is only for Automobilista 2. Assetto Corsa is very likely coming soon. It's not ready yet. I think it's possible, but let's be honest, mod cars in Assetto can be messy. I don't know how good I can make it, but I will do my best. But for now, AMS2 only. I'm probably also going to support more games. Now you might be wondering, does this work only in the ApexRivals career mode? Can I not use this online or in a single player race or wherever I want? Well, yes, you can. If you go back to the main menu, you will see there is a pit engineer button right there. Just go in there and it will work anywhere, in any mode whatsoever, even in the upcoming Ryza career mode. It will work everywhere. Now, the final question that is to answer, I believe, is what is going to be the difference between the Pro and Lite version. And here's my promise. All the major adjustments that are necessary are going to be available in the Lite version. So everything that is tire pressure, downforce, camber angle, ride height, suspension stiffness, anti-roll bars, gearing, all of that is going to be included for free in the Lite version. The entire race strategy is going to be included for free in the Lite version. As with everything that I do, 99% of it will be free, and the last 1% is going to be as a thank you to the people who support me financially. I still haven't decided what this 1% is going to be, but it is going to be, you know, the extra stuff, the stuff that is not absolutely necessary. Now, to close this off, I just want to remind you guys one more time, this is a beta. There will be bugs. Okay, let's be honest here. This is a beta. If you run into an issue, just go into utilities, export log, send it to me on Discord. Okay, you are not bothering me. Please send me the logs. I want to know if something went wrong. I want to fix it. And I believe that covers everything about this update. This is probably going to be a pretty long beta, so I hope you guys are going to enjoy this. Just turn off your brain, drive the goddamn car, and have fun. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
You'd be better off on slicks, but the race is almost over. Stay out and manage the tires.